Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Ina. Nako, as expected, syempre marami na talaga nag-aalala ngayon kung ano ang magiging future nila with all the restrictions, limitations na ina-announce ngayon ng gobyerno ng Canada patungkol specifically more recently no sa mga temporary foreign workers, yung tinatawag na low-wage LAMIA. Hindi na raw muna magbibigay nun, although there are exceptions. I will talk about that also later. Ngayon, pag-uusapan natin, ano ba talaga posibleng impact nito sa mga kababayan natin on different types of status or permits dito sa Canada? And ano ang options nila o ninyo if you feel that you are at risk of losing or eventually losing your status? Okay, yan po ang mga susubukan natin nga sagutin with, ayan, hanggang nagbabalik dito sa in a nutshell, si Diana El Puerto, sa po siyang registered immigration consultant. Again, I will put her contact information dyan sa ibaba. Okay? Siya po ang may-ari ng Empuerto Bantigue Immigration Consultancy. There you go. Okay ha? Huwag na kayong magtanong sa comment section kung paano siya mga contact. Andyan yan sa description box. Okay, o Dayanara. Yeah, first question I guess, just to set the tone. Nakita mo yung mga announcements ngayon, hindi na muna daw magbibigay ng LAMIA for low-wage jobs na tinuturing. I think there are also reports na yung PR applications din, parang babawasan na nila yung tatanggapin yung mga PR. How do you see this affecting our kababayans? Na iba-iba yung mga sitwasyon, okay? Yung mga tourists, halimbawa, na naghahanap ng trabaho dito. Yung mga TFW na nandito na baka magre-renew, makaka-renew ba sila? International students, nako, ang dami, no? Sorry, Dayarara. O, go, sige, isa-isa na.
That's okay. Opo. I'm just making some notes para hindi ako mawala. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, everyone. Hello po. Yeah, I hope you're watching this from a place. It's very difficult, and first of all, I'm really so sorry that you're put in this situation. There's not much. I can perfectly, sympathize and empathize because we were there. We were there. We were in the exact same position a few years ago, and it was the pandemic, ganyan. So parang may ganong sitwasyon nandun din kami, so I can really empathize and sympathize. So when it comes to the effects, I would say it's profound and encompassing. Talagang malawak yung effect po nitong ginagawa na ito. And as I spoke to you a while ago, this is really an election issue. The biggest election issue in Canada right now. So they really are trying to hemorrhage, kumbaga, trying to resolve some issues that napabayaan nila in the past years. Okay, so for tourists and ang pinakamalaking effect syempre is yung hindi a lot of them go to Canada hoping to change their status from tourists to work permit, to being work permit holders via LMIA. And if LMIA is no longer going to be approved, then that means less chance for tourists. Kasi kung titingnan natin, tourists are probably at the bottom of the food chain. Kung titingnan natin, they're at the bottom of the food chain. Kasi tourists, tapos yung, let's say, work permit holders na naka-close, tapos yung international students na naka-open. Kasi pag naka-open work permit ka, as an international student or a spouse of an international student, there's protection in that because you can change employers anytime. So, pagka tourist ka, you're kind of at the bottom. So, it's really profound. The effect on them will be profound. Now, for international students, at least they have a little bit of hope. Kasi, yung iba na nag-expect na, okay, 1 year na lang ako mag-aaral, 1 year lang yung aking post-graduation work permit, they can make some adjustments na, okay, hindi na ako mag-a-apply muna ng PHWP for a year, mag-2 years na ako, para hindi ako, kumbaga, mawala ng time. Kasi if you have just a year of PGWP, unless you have a very specific PR target already, you have a specific employer, or making you qualified for PR. It's going to be very hard to apply for PR in a year. So if you're an international student, my advice would be, kung inaasahan mo na makakapag-change ka into work permit via LMIA, PGWP to LMIA work permit, probably not gonna be as easy.
Oo.
Visas.
That's gonna mean, yung sinasabi mo mag-extend to 2 years, they're gonna enroll again? Ganun ba yun?
Yeah, because the standard really is most international students naman po talaga would study for 2 years, usually. Okay? Very, very rarely do we see international students na isang taon lang yung tina-target nila. It's because 1 year, noon pa man, 1 year, mahirap talagang maghanap ng PR in just 1 year. Kasi yung mga PR pathways gaya ng Canadian Experience Class, they would require 1 year of Canadian skilled experience. And it's not that if you just have a year of post-graduation work permit.
Okay. At least may ganung option agad yung international student. Okay, I think one of the most concerned na sector ay yung mga nakalamiya na dito din. Tapos, baka, kasi usually lamiya sa 2 years, 2-year contract. What if maabutan sila once nag-take effect itong suspension muna ng pag-i-issue ng low-wage lamiya and they happen to fall in that category?
Now, that's going to be a problem if, number one, kung hindi i-adjust nung kanilang employer yung kanilang income. So, let's say na mananatili ka talaga under low wage, meaning mas mababa sa median ng province yung income mo. So, dito syempre pumapasok yung mga usually nasa tier 4 or 5 positions. So, yung mga kina-classify as lower skilled work. So, factory work, machine operators, cleaners, agricultural workers, usually they would fall under tier 4 or 5. Ang income nila, ang kanilang hourly pay is usually below the median.
Okay.
Median meaning average in that province, kaya sila nasa low wage stream. So, an option would be if the employer really is determined to keep you, to switch to high wage, meaning itaas yung wage higher than the median so that they can apply for a high wage LMIA instead and keep you. That's one. I have clients na ang ginagawa nila is from closed work permit, they change to study permit.
Okay. Is that difficult to do? I mean, mag-i-enroll sila as naka-work permit. Paano yun?
Opo. So, I had a client na ganun siya. So, naka-work permit siya, mag-expire na. So, bago pa man mag-expire yung work permit, naghanap na siya ng school na a-applyan niya. Meron siyang sponsor, meron siyang kanyang personal funds. And actually, ang nakakatuwa nga doon is hindi ganun kalaki yung funding niya personally. Kahit yung sponsor niya, hindi rin gaano. But, I think there's an advantage being in Canada already, in changing from closed work permit to study permit.
Nako, the two options that you mentioned. Una muna, itong kung pag mag-aral, obviously kailangan nyo guys ng pondo. Oo nga, sana nakapag-ipon kayo kahit papaano. Oh my gosh.
Or isipin pala na Ina, because meron namang exemptions doon sa rule. So, I would say target occupations within those exemptions. Kasi, luckily, yung mga exemption na yun, yung mga industries na nasa exemption list. So, construction, food processing, agriculture, healthcare, sila rin naman talaga yung madalas kumuha ng LMIA. Yung mga yun, sila rin naman talaga yung nangangailangan. So, if you have a specific skill, I would say develop that and then try to join those industries in the exemption.
Okay. Mag-apply ka ng trabaho dun sa mga kumpanyang yun.
Yeah.
Kasi pwede pa rin ng low wage dun.
Because honestly, Ina, ang parang sinasawata lang naman nila, kumbaga yung talagang binabawasan nila is yung mga trabaho na nakalaan dapat sa mga batang Canadians, younger.
Ano ba yung usually yung mga yan para sa isang immigration consultant na mismo manggaling? Ano ba yung gustong bawasan ng Canada ng mga trabaho for foreign workers.
Yeah, I mean, I watch the news and I hear Tim Hortons all the time. Tim Hortons, chains. Kasi what they're facing a problem with is yung mga batang Canadian. So those who are, kasi in Canada, I believe they can work as early as 14 to 16 years old, mga ganyan. Hindi na sila makahanap ng trabaho.
Okay.
Kasi diba, usually pagka 16 ka or bago ka mag-college, usually may mga bata na nagtatrabaho sila, nagtatry silang mag-ipon, pambili nila ng sasakyan, pang start nila sa tuition, yung mga ganun, para kasi magka-college sila, nagpe-prepare sila for college. So sila ngayon yung hindi makahanap. So there was I think it was CNE, yung event sa Toronto, yung CNE.
Yeah, okay.
Who had an opening where thousands of, young Canadians, na nakapila sila doon for jobs. And yun yung sinasabi ng isang economist, I think his name is Mike Moffat, I'm not sure, Western University siya. And sabi niya, if hindi makahanap yung mga employer na ito nang magtatrabaho sa mga fast food chain nila, kaya sila nag-hire from outside Canada, then why do we have such long lines? Sa mga ganitong klaseng trabaho sa Dollarama, noong nakaraan, nag-hiring sila, marami rin pumila, CNE, bakit ganon? Bakit maraming young Canadians na gustong magtrabaho na hindi makahanap ng trabaho? Kung totoo pala na, di ba po pagka nag-a-apply ka kasi ng LMIA, you have to prove na wala kang ma-hire.
Yeah.
Kung wala ka pala talagang ma-hire, bakit merong mga batang ganito na nasa mga pila sa mga ganitong events? Bakit ganon? So parang there's a discrepancy that they see. And I think yun yung gustong ayusin ng federal government na, okay, if we are going to let a foreign national into the country, then it really must be at an industry or at an occupation na hindi talaga ma-fill. If there's any way for us to help young Canadians, then we should.
Yeah. In a way, that argument, I think, yung sagot sa ilang nagsasabi na kasi yung employers daw, pinipili rin ng temporary foreign workers kasi they give their 100% talaga. They choose them daw. Yan ang maraming comments din sa vlog ko eh. Parang bakit yung sisihin? Masisisi nyo ba yung mga employers daw kung pipiliin nila yung mga foreigners na talagang all out sa pagtatrabaho compared, they say, to let's say young Canadians na minsan hindi daw sumisupot sa work. May ganong mga comments ba?
Totoo rin yun. Totoo po yun. And you hear that all the time. Syempre, there's a maturity level. When you hire a foreign national with years of experience from a foreign country,
and
Dubai,
families to feed.
And families to send money to. Diba? So they will be willing to, work a certain number of hours, stay in the job, ganyan. And that is also where they get abused.
Yeah,
Isa rin yun sa argument na i-open mo. Diba parang there was a UN study calling Canada's TFW program as parang modern day slavery.
Mm-hmm.
That's the term that they use, modern day slavery. While it's generalized, parang in my opinion, sobrang generalized naman yung modern day slavery. It can happen. Totoo pong nangyayari yun. Kasi it's the same argument. Dahil they have families to feed, loan na kailangan bayaran para makarating ng Canada. Na-open din sila sa abuse and hindi nila alam yung kanilang mga karapatan. So, I mean, I don't envy the position ng mga those who are in positions of power, our policymakers. I don't envy their position because it's a very difficult balance to make.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to balance it out without hurting business owners and then without hurting young Canadians, without hurting these foreign workers? It's a very difficult position.
Okay. Teka muna. Balikan natin you already mentioned options for international students who might be worried, and also yung mga nandito na naka-work permit, di ba? So, yung pagtaas ng wage, Dayanara, is it common practice here? What if they try to ask for a raise para hindi sila ma-cover nung low wage category? Is it common practice here? Can you do that?
That's why I said kanina, Ms. Ina, na it's probably only possible if your employer really likes you.
Okay.
Kasi very rarely would employers do that.
Yeah.
Diba? Kasi if they do that, then, di ba po sa LMIA, parang magsiset sila ng wage, a certain wage, pag nag-apply ng LMIA, and then i-advertise nila yun, and then yung advertising na yun, yung results nun, yung proof na ibibigay nila sa Government of Canada saying na wala silang ma-hire in that position. If they raise those wages, then that means maaaring hindi na maging successful yung LMIA application kasi maraming nag-a-apply na nasa Canada once you raise that wage.
I see. Oo nga naman.
It's
mahirap din pala, no?
Going to be a really difficult thing to do, honestly, yung raising the wage. But I've seen it happen. I've had clients na pa-PR na ngayon pa-PR application na sila, kailangan itaas yung sahod, tinaas naman nung employer, diba? Tinaas naman ng employer para makuha niya yung PR niya, which is great. You know, sometimes employers would do that if they really need you in their industry.
I guess nasa sa inyo na yan, ano, kung feel nyo na baka pagbigyan kayo. You guys know it naman siguro if you are in a position to perhaps try to
ask. And there's no harm in asking. Yeah. This is where a lot of Filipinos have, a lot of us, TFWs, dito sila nagkakaroon ng problema. When it comes to asking, naabuso na sila, hindi pa rin magsasalita. Because they don't know. There's actually a mechanism. There's an open work permit for vulnerable workers.
Oh, yeah.
Meron siyang patunay na ikaw ay naabuso. Okay? Pwede kang mag-file ng open work permit application for vulnerable workers so that you can change employers. From a closed work permit, you can obtain an open work permit as a vulnerable worker so that you can change status and then possibly apply for PR down the line. So there's that. And, not a lot of people know that. So hindi nila ina-avail yung ganung klaseng mga applications for opportunities.
Yan ay kung meron talaga po kayong obviously real experience, preferably documented if you have evidence to support your claims of abuse. Okay, wait. I'll go to the announcement din na yung nasa government website. I'll put it up. Kasi kanina you mentioned na there's also an option to shift employers with the na may jobs na nandun sa exceptions. Right? Okay, ito yung nakita ko. Ito yung from the government website yan. Ito yung exempted category. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung mga pwede pa rin ang low wage, okay? Seasonal and non-seasonal jobs in food security sectors. Ano ba yung usually? Ayan, yung primary agriculture, food processing, fish processing. Anong jobs usually yun? What companies are those? Do you know?
With seasonal and non-seasonal, well, I can draw from my personal experience. My husband before was working in food processing. So yung kanyang LOC specifically is 94141, which is poultry preparers.
Pwede yun. Okay.
Preparers, yung mga nasa companies po that process meat, process fish, process, yung off the top of my head could be Maple Leaf, Cargill, yung mga Maple Foods, yung mga nagpo-produce sila ng pagkain. Kasi syempre, it's protection. Canada has to protect itself, food security. So, yung fish processing, most likely, nasa Atlantic Canada yan. Nandun nasa Prince Edward Island, nasa Newfoundland, PEI, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. Nandun yung fish processing po natin, yung malalaking fish processing industries.
Okay. And of course, construction and healthcare. So kahit mga laborer jobs na baka merong lamiya, pwede yan. Pwede pa rin hanggang
carpenters. So if you have a specific skill. So for example, you know how to magkabit ng mga glass, maglagay ng insulation. Yan. Yun yung mga usually hinahanap nila kasi very specific skill sets yung mga yan.
Okay, so I guess, ayan na, those are some of your options. But also, let's stress, by the way, na hanggang ngayon the only qualifying, teka, isa-stop muna ito. Ayan, ang nababanggit pa lang nung government announcement ay itong low-wage lamiya na itigil ay in metropolitan areas with an unemployment rate of 6% and up. Pero so ngayon, wala pang lumalabas, I think, na listahan mismo, no? So
I checked kanina. There's a list I checked, and I don't know if how accurate that is, but very, very few metropolitan areas have an unemployment rate of 6% below.
Okay, I guess.
Fredericton, Moncton.
Is this official na? Officially released na ba?
Parang I have that list. I'll send it to you. So that
okay. Kasi for now, ako naman ginagawa ko, nagtitingin lang ako ng areas. So parang, ito ang merong ganito. But you know, who am I to say? Baka mali din naman at may
there's
labas yung... Alright. Okay. Sige.
It's sad kasi, you know, these are usually the target areas of PFWs. Kapag kami dumadating na tourists, usually dun din sila naglaland. Sila may kamag-anak, ganyan.
Yeah.
So now they're going to have to look far and wide for it. And weirdly, nakita ko yung unemployment rate ng Nunavut, which is, I think...
Ang taas pala dun ng
12%. Something ganyan. And I found it weird na, okay, hindi sabihin, hindi na sila pwedeng mag-hire ng low-wage workers doon sa lugar na yun na medyo mataas yung unemployment rate. So there's probably something that must be done about it. Kaya nga, I don't envy their position. It's very hard to be a policymaker these days.
Yeah. Okay, Dayanara, ito, realistically speaking, do you think maraming mapipilitang umuwi?
I mean, yeah. I wouldn't want you to sacrifice your future in Canada and become a TNT.
Yan kasi isang concern nga ngayon. No? I don't know if you watched my earlier vlog. There was a report I was sharing dun sa episode na yun. Kino-quote yung mga migrant advocates here na one possible outcome of all these tightening of measures to, you know, lessen the number of immigrants coming in, baka daw dumami yung mga TNT. Lalo na yung obviously, yung mga nandito na, tapos baka mawalan ng status, kasi baka ang mindset nga ng marami, nandito na ako, susugol ko na to, hindi na ako uuwi kahit mawalan ako ng status. We don't encourage that, guys, ha? Kaya nga yung questioning, yung discussion namin ni Dayanara kanina, is your options, if you feel right now na baka madelikado kayo later on, what you can do now while you still have your status, and you don't lose your status.
Opo. Yung iba matindi yung ginagawa nila. Parang a lot of them, lalo yung mga mag-asawa, nagkakaroon sila ng anak. Dito sa Canada. Yung ginagawa nilang parang shield.
Yeah, anchor baby kung tawagin.
Parang mabigyan sila ng PR because there's a mechanism for it. Canada has a mechanism for it na wala ang US. If I'm not mistaken, it's the humanitarian and compassionate PR application. If you can prove na there's value in allowing you to stay in giving you PR despite you being out of status. You have a child, usually yun ang ginagawa nilang defense. I have a child who's a Canadian citizen. You have to let me stay because of this child. Some of them do that, and I've heard, you know, people who have done that and who have done it successfully. Kaya lang
nakakaloka naman talagang yun ang hoy, baka naman guys, yung mga nanonood, biglang magplano kayo bigla magka-baby ng di oras dahil in 9 months lalabas yung baby.
Yun na, and then tapos, syempre hindi naman laging posible yun. Kasi ang pwedeng...
But that does not guarantee approval, ha, Dayanara?
Nung ni-raise ko yan nung nasa law school ako, ni-raise ko yan sa professor namin. Ang sabi niya sa akin, sa amin, well, there are case laws wherein ang sinasabi ng court ng Canada, you know, federal ng Canada is the child is a Canadian citizen. Even if you bring the child home to, let's say, the Philippines, the child can return
eventually and still be a citizen.
And they're still a citizen. So why would you have to stay? It's not the case of the child that makes, you know, it's not the child, just the child, the benefit of the child that makes these cases win. It's actually the situations of the parents.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different study.
So you guys don't get ideas, ha? Kayo talaga baka
Kasi kawawa naman po yung mga bata. Ang pinagpapay ko dun is
it happened before.
You don't have, let's say, you don't have access to healthcare. Diba? And then nagkaroon ka ng anak. My baby, you know, my baby had to spend 10 days in the hospital after I gave birth. if I didn't have access to healthcare, how much would I have to pay? Thousands and thousands of dollars. So a lot of people do that, and some people do that. A lot of people do that, and that's the risk that you're gonna face if you're at TNT.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and also if you're at TNT and you get caught and you get deported, you have misrepresentation or whatever case that will be, filed against you, then you are kind of, in a way, destroying your chance of ever coming back.
Yeah. Sige, medyo nalihis lang kami ni Dayanara dahil dun sa issue ng kapag may anak yung mga TNT, no? Pero yan yung gusto ko rin na tanongin next actually. Why should people, ano ba ang risk, okay? Gaano kahirap ba ang buhay ng mga undocumented na ang term ngayon or mga TNT dito sa Canada? For those na baka napapaisip na gawin yan eventually, Dayanara, ano ba ang buhay ng mga TNT dito? How difficult it is it, to find jobs? Paano ba?
Yeah, because you're going to have to find specifically an employer na will allow you to, receive cash.
Forever.
Yan, cash jobs. Meron akong kakilala dito na Pilipino na ganun para gumawa siya ng page kung saan nilalagay niya lahat ng mga cash job niya. Sabi ko, ang tapang-tapang nitong taong ito kasi kapag nahuli siya, lagot siya. Anyway, you have to find specific employers willing to provide you with cash, na salary. And then you're also opening up yourself to abuse kasi what if parang they can hold that against you. Your status will be put as a hostage against you na.
Yeah.
Okay, sige, pag hindi ka sumunod dito, pag hindi ka nagtrabaho ng ganitong oras, hindi ka nagtrabaho ng ganito katagal, pagka nag-demand ka ng overtime, sige, susumbong kita. Kasi,
yeah. And then, go ahead, sorry.
After that, the possibility na, may anak. So, what would happen to the child? Diba? Parang, paano kayo titira? Paano kayo kukuha ng lease sa isang apartment? Paano kayo mag-a-avail ng health card? Paano kayo yung mga gano'n, opening bank accounts, okay, pero yung pag nag-open ka kasi ng bank account, hahanapan ka rin ng study permit, work permit, visitor record, these status documents. So it's a difficult life.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult.
But just to be real, marami pa rin talagang sumusugol sa ganyan na. But guys, again, nako po, sabi nga ni Dea, it's difficult. Imagine waking up every day na hindi ka talaga secure sa araw-araw mo.
Not knowing if that's gonna be your last day.
May kakatok ba sa bahay mo? And actually, aggressive ba yung mga Canadian authorities in looking for undocumented workers here? Kasi ang alam ko naman, ang sabi din, hindi ka naman din mapapauwi ng ganun-ganun lang. Like, if they identify you as someone na, wala ka palang status, wala kang ganyan, hindi ka naman daw mapapauwi agad. How aggressive are they?
I believe there's detention. Merong munang a little bit of detention. There's processing. They will have to actually determine na talagang you're undocumented without a shadow of a doubt. And then there's always a process na they will involve the embassy of your home country. Ganyan. So, there's a process to it. Canada, in general, compared to the US, yung ICC.
Grabe sa US.
IRCC compared to ICE tends to be kinder when it comes to that. Na hindi naman po agad-agad.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a child involved.
Oo nga. Okay. So, in short, Dayanara, ito naman pala, sorry. May isa pa tayong dapat na rin na i-discuss kahit briefly lang. Yung PR naman. Kasi yung pinag-uusapan po namin ni Dayanara is more on yung LAMIA nga. Okay? So, mga close to work permit po yan. A little mention of the international students. Kasi some international students also depend on LAMIA jobs for, PR din. Pero so yung application to PR naman, should people now be concerned? Do you feel that maybe ikaw yung clients mo ba? Marami na bang nag-aalala na mukhang hindi na umaabot, nawawala na ng status because of the tight competition, higher scores now required, ang dami na nag-a-apply, nag-uubusan na yung slots in some areas. Should people lose hope? Ano bang gagawin nila?
Actually, in the last few weeks, I've I've been seeing like Ontario has had some draws na mababa.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And then last time I checked with CEC, it's 509. So that's a little lower compared to before, na 540, 550. So a little bit, more reachable. And then I had a client na nakakuha ng invitation under skilled trades.
Ayan, okay.
So I say they're having more draws now with lower scores. So I can see that they're adjusting to.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a different situation in provinces, for example, like Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
Where all of a sudden, in just a day or so, nagbago lahat. So they became stricter. My general advice would be to seek help as soon as you can.
Okay.
As soon as you can. Don't let it, don't go to a consultant or a lawyer with a few months left to your post-graduation work permit. Seek help as soon as possible. Kasi po yung situation ng isang tao, kasi yung iba pupunta sa akin, kasi ganito yung ginawa nung kakilala ko, mami, ano bang gawin nito? And like ko sinasabi sa kanila, iba yung sitwasyon nun sa sitwasyon mo.
Mm-hmm.
So, hindi dahil na-approve siya, ikaw din. Magkaiba kayo ng sitwasyon, magkaiba kayo ng panahon, magkaiba kayo ng kakayahan. So, it's important na kung wala ka pang idea sa ngayon, dapat sa ngayon may idea na sila kung paano yung PR. Pero kung wala pa, seek help, ask, so you have plan A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah. Oo. Totoo ba yung advice ng iba? Sinasabi ng iba, Dayanara, na lumipat ka ng probinsya kung saan mas madali daw doon kasi ma-PR. Ang dami mga ganyan na mga suggestions. Totoo ba yun? Do those provinces really exist? Yung mas madaling ma-PR? And is it that easy to do? Nalipat ako doon habang ako trabaho. Doon ako ma-PR.
Of course it's not easy, Ms. Ina, but I have clients who are able to do it successfully. So from Ontario, lipat ng Nova Scotia, apply ng PR doon. From, let's say, Alberta, lipat ng Saskatchewan, yung kapitbahay na probinsya, and mag-apply ng PR doon. It is, of course, possible. Kasi syempre po, may mga lugar naman talaga sa Canada na hindi puntahin. Hindi target. Kasi siya, wala masyadong Pilipino doon, wala masyadong Filipino community, rural areas yung iba. So, meron talagang mga ganong areas po na Northern Ontario, for example, na hindi talaga puntahin ng tao, Atlantic Canada, ganyan. So, I mean, last time I checked, New Brunswick's population is, I don't know.
Pero nag-close na yung express entry nila just for the year.
It happens kasi po, syempre, dumadami yung mga estudyante doon at yung mga asawa ng mga estudyante na nag-a-apply din ng PR. And it's, I don't know, September. So, talaga pong, and kasi yung slot nila, syempre, hindi sila pwedeng basta kumuha. Syempre, kailangan nilang mag-reserve ng certain number. Ang slots po kasi for PR, depende din sa laki ng probinsya. Syempre, mas malaki yung probinsya, mas malaki kahit pa para yung allotment nila to give more people opportunities. And New Brunswick is very small.
Yeah. Okay. So, pwede naman pala yung lipat probinsya. Although, I guess, it's really just not that simple. Siyempre, kailangan nyo rin maghanap ulit ng trabaho doon.
Diba? Opo, maghanap ng trabaho doon. And syempre, hindi naman basta-basta trabaho lang. So, kailangan yung hanapin mong trabaho ay doon sa employer na pwedeng mag-apply ng PR para sa'yo. Sa trabaho na pwede doon sa probinsya na yon, may na priority ng probinsya na yon, ganun din po.
Yeah.
Papasok at babalik tayo sa una nating pinag-usapan, Ms. Ina, na it's always better to invest in, education going towards in-demand industries. Babalik tayo doon sa ganong klaseng advice po. So, mga nagsisimula pa lang, nagpaplano pa lang.
Yeah. Okay. And also, let's also stress, I think, na there are still pathways to PR available. Okay? Parang marami yung mga specific career paths, let's say agri-related jobs before, di ba? Merong ganyan. Just do, I guess, your research. Can you mention a few na baka, nakakaligtaan na may specific career pathway to PR?
Career-based. Off the top of my head, it's Agri-Pilot. So, Agri-Pilot is for agriculture, food processing.
Yan, okay.
Dito, nagiging eligible yung mga LMIA holders. Ayan, so kapag meron kang LMIA related to farm work or food processing, yan, butcher, ganyan, so swine, ganyan yung mga nag-aalaga ng mga hayop, ganyan. So,
open pa ba yan, yung agri? Parang I read somewhere, parang magko-close na rin yata.
Yes, it's a pilot po kasi. So when you say it's a pilot, then there's a due date to that. But usually with pilots, they change. So for example, they become permanent. So for example, yung Atlantic Immigration Pilot dati is now Atlantic Immigration Program. Which
alright.
The same, I think, will be done with Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, which will be changed to Rural Community Immigration Pilot towards it becoming a permanent program. I would say Agri-Pilot has a very good chance na maging permanent program in the future. But
accepted pa nga siya eh. Di ba sa Lamia nga
sila sa exemption. Kasi nga po kailangan. Syempre, kung ako naman ng Canada, why would I jeopardize food security in my country? Diba? So, kailangan talaga po. And a lot of people, especially young people, if you're a young person, not a lot of young people would want to move to a rural farm area. Diba? They would want to stay near their parents to save on rent. So, talagang yun yung klase ng trabaho na very few young Canadians would want to do.
Yeah.
Because it's far from their homes, mahirap yung work, you know.
Yeah. Ay, nako. Alam mo, we should have a part 2 dito. I'm sure maraming mag-follow-up questions. Pero dahil, mag-40 minutes na kami ni Yanara. Last question na lang. We started the discussion with you talking about how, this is an election issue. Actually, yan yung comment ng marami na kaya lang ginagawa ngayon ng current leadership yan. Kasi nga, they need votes from, the citizens.
Specifically
who are complaining about the mass immigration. So are you also saying, do you think, Dayanara, that after elections, tuloy na naman ang ligaya ng mga temporary foreign workers? Ganun ba yun, do you think?
It will depend on how whoever wins. It will depend on
kasi,
how they would do it, because they can always open it. I mean, you have to understand na there was a reason why all of these became, kumbaga, lumuwag siya ng sobra, and that was the pandemic. That was the crucial moment in history kung bakit nagbukas ang Canada ng maraming slots for international students, for TFWs, bakit tumaas yung housing costs. It's the pandemic. It's the catalyst, kumbaga, for all of these changes. So it will, in pandemic, nobody could have predicted that.
Yeah.
So
sorry, Dayanara, go ahead.
So there is no way for us to know how the new government or the new policymakers would be making sense out of that. So, ako nga iniisip ko, ano kaya gagawin ko kung ako yung nasa posisyon nila? Paano ko ngayon poprotektahan yung TFW program, or paano ko siya i-resolve without hurting business owners, workers, young Canadians, satisfied? It's a lot of process.
Pleasing everybody, talaga. You can't please everybody. Sa totoo lang. All sectors in this case.
And it's not going to be easy. At some point, there's a sector na masasaktan. And in this case, masasaktan ang business owners. Ang sinasabi nila is, sige, tataas namin yung sahod, we will be hiring Canadians, but the costs will be passed on to consumers.
Nako po.
What's going to happen then? Yung normal yung Tim Hortons na kape na $2, $3 may change.
What a complicated situation.
Yun yung sinasabi
ko. May trabaho ka nga, makakakuha nga ng trabaho yung mga nandito, pero ayun, tataas
at some point, it will hurt. So, ako ang iniisip ko, if I were in their position, I'll probably be doing more checks. Like, eto bang kumpanya na to, kailangan niya talaga ng workers? Talaga bang nandun siya sa lugar na wala talaga siyang mahanap? Yun bang kinikita niya ay hindi enough para magpasahod ng malaki? Then sige, payagan kita. Parang, paano mo ba babalansihin ang lahat ng fair to everybody? So, that's going to be a problem now. Yeah.
Buti sinabi ni Dayanara kasi parang kung manalo yung kalaban ni Trudeau, it looks like, from what he says sa media statements niya, mukhang mas mahigpit pa siya. mukha lang. Tama ba yung assessment ko?
Yeah,
Observation?
opo. Although I read yung kanilang, kasi meron silang nilabas na parang platforms nila, ganun yung parang may nilalabas sila na platforms and immigration is still there. So, and there's this migrant group leader na nagsabi na, 70-80% of jobs in Canada somehow, or 70-80% of industries in Canada somehow benefit from immigration.
Yeah.
So it's important. It's still an important aspect of our society. So I don't think it'll 100% be gone. Kasi for example, it was explained to us na sometimes when you hire a foreign worker, you produce more jobs for Canadians. Diba? It happens. So for example, I have this company, Honda, for example, based in Japan. Meron silang technology na gustong dalhin sa Canada para mas makagawa sila ng maraming sasakyan. Syempre, hindi marunong ang Canadians nun. Magdadala ka ng foreign national papunta ng Canada para turuan ng Canadians, workers na nandito, para mas makapag-produce ng maraming trabaho. Sometimes that happens.
Alright.
Diba? So, it's a benefit that I don't think the government would want to be gone.
Yeah. No, of course, I don't think immigration naman syempre wala. And alam mo yun, there are obviously...
Parang dating kasi Miss Ina, di ba sa iba, oh my God, sarado.
Wala na, sarado na. Parang ganyan, sarado na.
Na parang, ang lagi ko sinasabi, lahat naman tayo napunta sa ganyang posisyon. Na akala natin wala na tayong pag-asa.
Correct. So, I think it's really just managing the inflow of immigrants. But it will not be gone, guys.
Making it fair for...
Yeah, sadly, may maapektuhan talaga. Baka mapauwi, yung mga mawawala ng status, pero wala tayong magagawa I mean...
And if, let's say, mawalan ka ng status, mapauwi ka, at least may kakayahan kang bumalik. Kung hindi TNT.
Oo, kung hindi ka mag-TNT.
Kasi kung TNT ka, yes, makakapag-stay ka dito, pero pag nahuli ka, mawawalan ka na ng kakayahang makabalik.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to preserve. If there's something I want them to take away from this conversation, you want to preserve the chance to, come back to Canada and stay permanent. Kapag medyo lumuwag na ang lahat, let's say, magkaroon ng mas maluwag na proseso, you want to preserve the chance instead of throwing it away by becoming a TNT, by becoming undocumented.
Yeah. Okay. We'll end this episode muna here. Again, ang contact information po ni Dayanara is gonna be at the description box. Okay? Hi. Okay, thank you guys Maraming salamat sa inyo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Ina, for listening and for having me again. Thank you.
If you have other questions, ang rate ni Dayanara, talagang hindi ako kumikita kay Dayanara. Diba? She is cheaper compared to others. Okay? And one session will not, malaking tulong. Won't hurt your pockets, and malaki na agad yung matutulong ng isang consult lang man lang, di ba? Okay, well anyway, let's end this episode here. Maraming salamat sa inyo. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!